Hello everyone, my name is Marissa Lyman and I will be giving you an overview of parole and probation reform, including the meaning and purpose of probation and parole, the history of probation and parole, and examples of probation and parole reform. According to the United States courts, probation is a sentencing option that releases the person to the community and orders them to complete a period of supervision monitored by a U.S. probation officer and to abide by certain conditions. Probation allows offenders to readapt to their community after incarceration and serve a less severe punishment while holding people accountable for their crimes. Probation reduces the risk of offenders recommitting crimes and flight risk while providing treatment and assistance for substance abuse and mental health treatment, medical care, training, and employment assistance. Release conditions are rules that the court imposes that the offender must follow to stay in the community, including the prohibition of guns and other weapons, contact with victims and witnesses, association with certain persons, certain travel, and being out after curfew. From the court. Probation started in the Middle Ages and can be seen in English criminal law. Eventually, the practice of temporary release was imposed in which offenders could secure pardons and lesser sentences. According to the NewYorkCity.gov, John Augustus is recognized as the father of probation in the United States. In 1841, John Augustus bailed a common drunkard from police court, and the offender was ordered by the court to appear back in court in 3 weeks. Accompanied by Augustus, the offender appears back to court as a sober man. Augustus is also credited for creating the investigation process for probation, which evaluates whether a candidate would be successful for probation. John Augustus provided bail for 2,000 offenders. According to Encyclopedia.com, Captain Alexander McConey developed earlier parole systems in Norfolk Island, Australia, which is where English criminals were being transported. McConey eliminated the flat sentence structure and started a mark system, where an offender could earn their freedom with hard work and good behavior. In 1845, Sir Walter Crofton created the Irish system, which created 3 classes of penal servitude: strict imprisonment, indeterminate sentences, and ticket of leave. Zebulon Brockway is credited for starting parole release in the United States. In 1876, Brockway was appointed the superintendent of Elmira Reformatory for young offenders and based their parole on their conduct, achievement, and education, and created a condition of parole where the offender had to report to their guardians that supervised the offender and wrote reports documenting their behavior in the community. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, 3.9 million offenders were a part of the U.S. probation and parole system at the end of 2020. There was a 6.6% decline from the 4.1 million offenders that were being supervised at the beginning of 2020. And this was due to the policy and procedure changes caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Probation and parole reform is the changes in policy and procedures of the probation and parole system that promote the support of offenders and reduces the number of people behind bars. An example of probation reform is Senate Bill 105. Senate Bill 105 is a new probation law for Georgia that allows offenders on felony probation to have their sentence terminated after 3 years if they have no new arrests, no probation revocation in the past 24 months, and have paid all of their restitution. Another example is Senate Bill 752, a Florida law that allows misdemeanor offenders to receive education and workforce credits to reduce their probation sentence. One example of parole reform is House Bill 4369, an Oklahoma law that changes the administrative parole process by allowing consideration of early termination of their probation and parole for persons within 1 calendar year of their discharge date, and also allows for parolees to earn compliance discharge credits every month to reduce the length of their supervised time. Another example of parole reform is Senate Bill S1144A, better known as the Less is More Act, which prevents people in New York from being re-imprisoned for small deviations from their parole conditions. Under the Less is More Act, People accused of technical parole violations cannot be detained in jail while waiting for their parole revocation hearing, and if held, will have a prompt trial. Thank you for your attention, and until next time.